My parents called me a nobody and disowned me because I dropped out of medical faculty, and years later they begged to be at my wedding when they saw that I was marrying a girl with rich parents. I, 29M, was the golden boy growing up. Not because I was naturally brilliant or super charismatic or anything, but because I listened. My parents had a very specific vision for my life. Get top grades, become a doctor, marry a suitable girl, which, in my mom's words, means someone classy and from a good family, aka wealthy, and live out the picture-perfect suburban fantasy they never quite got for themselves. And I played along. Not because I believed in it, but because I was scared to disappoint them. Especially my mom. She was the kind of woman who could guilt a priest into apologizing. Loud, opinionated, loved being the center of attention. If there was a family dinner or a parent-teacher conference, she was the one doing all the talking. Dad? He mostly nodded and let her bulldoze over everyone. He wasn't cruel, just absent unless she needed backup. When I got into med faculty, you'd have thought I won the damn Nobel Prize. My mom printed my acceptance letter and framed it in the living room, right next to her wedding photo. Every phone call started with, "My son's going to be a doctor," even if you were just calling to confirm a dentist appointment. She was proud in that aggressive, performative kind of way. It wasn't about me, really, it was about what I represented. And me? I was drowning. I hated every second of med faculty. The pressure. The long nights. The way I was constantly surrounded by people who wanted to be there while I just felt like I was acting. I used to stay up until 3 a.m. studying and whispering to myself, maybe it'll get better next semester. Spoiler, it didn't. I lasted almost 2 years before I burned out completely. Panic attacks. Insomnia. I lost like 20 pounds. I called my parents and told them I was dropping out. That's when everything changed. The silence on the phone was so sharp it felt like I'd physically injured them. Then my mom's voice came, cold and furious. "Are you kidding me? Do you know what we've sacrificed for you to throw it away like this? You think you're too good for hard work? Too special?" I tried to explain. The mental health stuff. That I wasn't quitting life. I just couldn't do this one thing anymore. That maybe I could switch into psychology or education or anything that didn't make me feel like I was dying every day. She laughed. Actually laughed. "You're a coward. Quitter. We don't have room for failures in this family." And my dad? His exact words were, "Maybe you should stay away for a while. Figure out who you really are. Don't come crawling back until you've done something worth being proud of." I didn't even cry. I just sat there holding my phone and feeling like I'd been erased. That was 3 years ago. Fast forward. I got into marketing. Random, right? But it worked for me. I have a knack for people, for stories, for making things matter. I found a job at a tech firm that paid decently. Started rebuilding myself piece by piece. And then, I met her. Her name is Lila. We met through a mutual friend at a trivia night. She's smart, beautiful, and funny in this low-key, cutting way that had me laughing so hard I nearly choked on my beer. We clicked. She wasn't just into me. She saw me. Not the med faculty dropout or the golden boy failure. Just me. Oh, and she's rich. Like crazy old money rich. But she never made a big deal about it. She drives a beat-up Subaru and wears jeans with holes in them. And I didn't even know her family had a foundation in their name until we'd been dating 6 months. When I proposed, she cried. When we started planning the wedding, we agreed it would be small, intimate, close friends and chosen family. No pressure. Until the engagement announcement hit social media. Her parents tagged us. Suddenly, I was getting calls and texts from numbers I didn't recognize. And one night, I got a voicemail from my mother. I saw the post. "Congratulations. I hope we're invited. We'd love to meet her family. Maybe we can all go out for lunch sometime. Call us. Okay?" I played it 3 times before deleting it. These are the same people who disowned me for dropping out. Who told me I wasn't worthy of being their son anymore. Who haven't reached out in 3 years. Not for my birthday, not when I landed a job, not when I moved into my own place. And now that I'm marrying into money, they want back in. After that voicemail, I didn't sleep. I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling while Lila softly snored beside me, her arm draped over my chest. My heart wasn't racing or anything, it was this weird, numb heaviness. Like my body was exhausted but my mind refused to shut off. All I kept thinking was, why now? I hadn't spoken to them in over 3 years. Not for lack of trying at first, I reached out during my first Christmas alone. Just a text. Hope you're doing okay. No reply. I called again the day I got my first promotion. Went to voicemail. No call back. They'd made it very clear, I was dead to them. Until I started dating someone with money. Then suddenly I was their long-lost prodigal son. Anyway, a few days after that voicemail, a letter showed up in our mailbox. Actual paper. Written in my mom's curly, aggressive cursive that looked like it belonged on a PTA newsletter. It started off fake sweet. Dear Daniel, we heard the wonderful news about your engagement to Lila. She looks like such a lovely young woman. We are truly happy for you. Then came the twist. We've been talking and we realize now that perhaps we were too harsh. We were scared, Daniel. You made a choice that frightened us and we didn't know how to respond. But we never stopped loving you. We hope you can find it in your heart to forgive us and allow us to be part of your special day. There was a second page and I swear to God, she actually underlined this part. It would mean the world to us to meet Lila's parents. Please consider inviting us to dinner before the wedding. We want to be proud of our family again. We want to be proud of our family again. Like, that line gutted me in the worst way. Not, we're proud of you, not, we want to make things right. No. It was all about appearances. Status. Their image. They didn't want me back because they missed me. They wanted to be able to stand at the wedding, sip champagne, and tell people their son married into wealth. Their failure had finally redeemed himself. I brought the letter inside and just stared at it on the kitchen counter until Lila came home. She saw my face and immediately went, "Who died?" I handed her the letter. Watched her read it in silence. Her only comment? "Wow. That's manipulative as hell." She wasn't angry. Just calm. Quiet. And that scared me more than if she'd shouted. I sat down at the table and for the first time since dropping out of med faculty, I really talked about my parents. About growing up in that house. About how my mom would scream if I got AB. About the time she ripped up a birthday card I made for her in 6th grade because I spelled intelligent wrong. About how when I said I wanted to study creative writing, she laughed and said, "You'll never support a family writing poems about your feelings." About how I started faking a version of myself just to survive in that house. Lila held my hand the whole time. Didn't say much. Just let me say it all out loud for the first time in years. And then she asked, softly, "Do you want them at the wedding?" I didn't even have to think about it. "No," I said. "Not if they're coming for the wrong reasons." That night, I wrote a letter back. It wasn't angry or petty. It was short and plain. "Mom and Dad, I appreciate you reaching out. But I need to be honest, I don't believe you've changed. You haven't apologized for what happened or acknowledged how deeply you hurt me. You disowned me for choosing to live authentically, and now that you see me building a life you're impressed by, you want back in. I'm not comfortable having you at the wedding. This day is about love and truth, not performance. I wish you well. Daniel." I mailed it the next morning. No signature. No return address. Just the truth. The wedding plans kept rolling. We booked a small garden venue, sent out invites to our chosen people, and every part of it felt right. No pretending. No expectations. Just us. Until 2 weeks later, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "We just want to talk. You're still our son." Then another. This one from my aunt. "They're devastated, Daniel. Your mom's been crying every day. Don't you think they deserve another chance?" That's when I realized something ugly. My parents had recruited backup. They were calling relatives I hadn't heard from in years, spinning the story to make themselves look like the victims. Telling people I was being cruel and holding a grudge because I was ashamed of them in front of Lila's rich family. Suddenly, I wasn't just fighting my parents. I was fighting this entire narrative they'd built. And I was done being quiet. I didn't want to go. Every part of me screamed, "Don't do this," but after my aunt guilt-tripped me with a 7-minute voicemail about family ties and your poor mother, I agreed to meet. Not because I wanted reconciliation, but because I needed them to hear the truth in my words with no filters, no performative bullshit. We met at this cafe near their house. Neutral territory. I got there first, sat at a table near the window, and tried not to puke. I hadn't seen either of them in person since the day I dropped out. Since I walked out of that house with a backpack and a brain full of failure. When they walked in, my stomach flipped. My mom looked exactly the same, meticulously put together, like she was heading to a charity fundraiser. That fake proud smile plastered across her face like nothing ever happened. My dad looked older. Thinner. Tired. He gave me this half nod like he didn't know what to say. They sat down. Silence. Then she launched in. You look healthy. Your fiancé seems lovely. We're really so proud of what you've accomplished, Daniel. I blinked. Proud? You literally called me a disgrace the last time we spoke. My mom's smile didn't even falter. Well, you have to understand we were under a lot of stress. We just didn't want you to throw away your future. You didn't just not support me, I said, voice rising. You disowned me. Cut me off financially and emotionally. You told me not to come back until I was worth something. And now you want to play proud parents because my fiancé's family has money. Her smile cracked then. Is that what you think this is about? She snapped. You're our son. We made mistakes, yes, but we were trying to protect you from yourself. Medical faculty was your path. We sacrificed everything to get you there. I leaned forward. No. You sacrificed me to get yourself a fantasy. I was your trophy. Your little success story. You didn't love me, you loved what I could do for your image. Dad finally spoke, voice low. Danny, it wasn't like that. Don't call me that, I cut in. You didn't even reach out when I had a panic attack so bad I had to be hospitalized. You didn't call me on my birthday. You ignored me for 3 years. Now that I'm engaged to someone whose family owns 3 homes and a vineyard, suddenly you remember I exist. Mom slammed her hand on the table, drawing looks from the barista. You don't understand how hard it was. We were ashamed, okay? Embarrassed. You were supposed to be something. And then you threw it away for a marketing job. I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. And I'm good at it. I make 6 figures. I built a life. A good one. Without your help. So you don't get to sit here and pretend you support me now. You're not here for me. You're here for the photo ops. Her voice dropped, cold and calculated. We just want to meet her parents. Is that so terrible? We want to be part of the day. You can't seriously be planning to go through this whole wedding pretending we're dead. I stared at her, that mask finally slipping. And there it was, the real reason. Not love. Not forgiveness. Access. You disowned me, I said quietly. And now I'm returning the favor. I stood up, left my untouched coffee on the table and walked out without looking back. I didn't cry until I got to my car. Not because I missed them, but because some part of me still wanted to. And that's the cruelest part of parental betrayal, it doesn't erase the love. It just poisons it. I told Lila everything that night. Word for word. She listened, wrapped her arms around me and said the 5 words I didn't know I needed to hear. You don't owe them shit. We made a new guest list. One that only included people who showed up. People who stood by me when I was broke, anxious, and broken. Chosen family. I sent a final message to my mom the next day. You're not invited to the wedding. This is not a punishment. It's a boundary. She never replied. Okay, so the day finally came. The wedding. The one my parents weren't invited to. The one they still tried to get into. But let me back up. Lila and I kept it small. 80 people. Backyard ceremony at her family's summer house, tucked into a hillside with this breathtaking view of the water. The kind of place you'd see in a wedding magazine and assume the couple are models or influencers. I still don't know how I ended up there. With her. The day before, we held a rehearsal dinner, nothing too fancy. Just good food, fairy lights, laughter, and people who actually cared about us. My college roommate gave a speech that made me tear up. Lila's mom cried halfway through toasting us and then cried harder when the caterer brought out the wrong kind of mini quiches, which honestly was weirdly endearing. There was so much love in that space. Not the kind you earn with grades or job titles, just love, raw and real. And then, the morning of the wedding, my aunt showed up uninvited. Yep, my mom's sister. She showed up to the venue while we were still setting up the chairs, holding a Tupperware of lemon squares and this sheepish look on her face. Don't be mad, she said. Your mom doesn't know I came. But I think you should hear this. I didn't want to. I didn't need one last dose of drama. But curiosity, that stupid leftover piece of me that still cared, pulled me in. She pulled out her phone and opened her messages. My mom had sent her 5 separate texts over the past 2 days, all versions of the same thing. I'm driving up to the town. I just want to see him, even from a distance. Do you think he'd notice if I stood at the edge of the parking lot? What if we just quietly sat in the back? No photos, no interaction. We just want to be part of his happiness. It's not fair, Susan. We made one mistake and now we're being treated like we're dead. I won't forgive him for this if he keeps us out. Yeah. She was coming. I stood there, holding onto a damn folding chair, trying to figure out whether I felt anger, anxiety, or just complete exhaustion. And you know what I did? Nothing. I didn't call her. I didn't scream or text or ask someone to block the gate. I just let go. For the first time ever. If she wanted to come and stand in the woods like some Victorian ghost, fine. But she wasn't getting in. The ceremony started at 4 p.m. sharp. Lila looked like a dream. I know that's such a cliché thing to say, but it's true. Her dress was simple, off-white, flowing. Her hair was down, wavy and free like she'd just stepped out of a summer daydream. As she walked down the aisle, I swear I forgot how to breathe. The whole time I thought I'd be nervous. That I'd be thinking about my parents. Watching the tree line to see if a pair of binoculars poked out. But I didn't. All I saw was her. All I heard was my heartbeat and the soft music and the vows we whispered like a secret only the two of us could understand. There were happy tears. So many. From us, from friends, from the lady officiating who had only met us twice but still cried like we were her kids. We kissed. People clapped. Confetti was tossed. Dogs barked. Yes, two of our guests brought their corgis wearing tuxedo bandanas. And that was it. We were married. Later, after the food and speeches, my cousin pulled me aside. She was there, he whispered. Your mom. I saw her. Standing at the edge of the parking lot near the hydrangeas. I froze. Alone. He nodded. Just her. I don't think she ever got out of the car. I didn't say anything. Just looked down at my ring. The symbol of a new family I was choosing, building from scratch, one that didn't require me to earn love. He added she looked small. And for a moment I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered the silence. The shame. The way she spat, we don't have room for failures, like I was garbage. And I realized regret is not the same as accountability. She could cry in her car all she wanted. She still hadn't apologized. Lila and I danced barefoot on the grass at midnight. My best friend took photos of us under the fairy lights. The dogs passed out under the gift table. The moon came up and I felt this lightness I hadn't felt since I was a kid, before med faculty, before the expectations, before I was turned into someone else's dream. That night I held Lila close and whispered, "This is my real family." She smiled and whispered back, "Damn right it is." We left for our honeymoon 2 days later. Just a quiet Airbnb by the coast. No cell reception, no wedding drama. Just the sound of waves, morning coffee on the porch, and Lila's bare feet on hardwood floors. Heaven. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. Not just survive, but live. Like I didn't owe anyone anything. I didn't need to become someone. I was someone, and the woman next to me saw that and stayed. But peace never lasts long when your past is addicted to control. On the 4th day of our honeymoon, I checked my phone during a grocery run. Yes, we cooked every night. And yes, it was perfect. I had 12 missed calls. 5 from my mom. 3 from my dad. The rest from blocked numbers. And a voicemail from my cousin with the subject line, "You should probably know what she posted." My mom had posted a public Facebook status, I shit you not, that said, "We weren't invited to our only child's wedding. After everything we did to raise him right, he cast us aside to impress his rich fiancé's family. I just hope one day he realizes that blood is thicker than money. Blood is thicker than money." God. It wasn't even that she posted it, it was the comments she was replying to, with things like, "We didn't raise him to be so cruel. Her parents must have turned him against us. We made one mistake and now we're dead to him. One mistake." As if disowning your son, cutting him off when he's mentally breaking down, then reappearing just in time for him to marry into wealth is a tiny little oopsie. Like she forgot to pick me up from soccer practice or something. She had no idea I'd see it. She must have thought I blocked her account. I hadn't. I just didn't care enough to look. But now she was dragging Lila into it, painting her like some scheming heiress who'd turned me against my humble roots. I showed the post to Lila. She looked at it, blinked once, then said, "Well, that's going in the wedding scrapbook." We laughed. Not because it was funny, but because if we didn't laugh, we'd scream. And I wasn't letting her grief infect this part of my life. A few days after we got home, another letter came in the mail. Same handwriting. Same cursive. No return address. This one wasn't sweet. "I can't believe what you've done to us. You embarrassed us. You made us feel like outsiders at your happiest moment. What kind of son does that? What kind of man lets strangers replace his parents? We still don't know what we did that was so unforgivable. You've changed, Daniel. You used to be our pride. Now you're just a disappointment. Again. No apology. No ownership. Just a guilt trip with a stamp on it. I didn't respond. Couldn't. Because what do you say to someone who still won't admit they broke you? A week later, my dad called. I almost didn't answer. But a part of me, that same stupid hopeful part that still pictured him watching my first baseball game, picked up. He sounded tired. Like he aged 10 years in a month. I didn't know she was going to post that, he said quietly. I told her not to. I said nothing. She's not handling it well. She feels like she lost her son. She did, I said. And she's still trying to make it my fault. He sighed. That heavy, disappointed dad sigh I used to fear. I miss you, kid. And maybe he meant it. But it was too late. Then you should have said something 3 years ago, I replied. Not now. Not after she burned the bridge and tried to blame me for the fire. We sat in silence. Then I told him, if she ever apologizes, really apologizes without conditions, without acting like the victim, then maybe we can talk. But until then, I'm done pretending. He didn't fight me, just whispered, okay, and hung up. Since then, we've heard nothing. No more calls. No more letters. My aunt texted once saying my mom was in therapy now. But I didn't reply, because therapy isn't a magic wand. Growth isn't guaranteed. And some apologies come too late to matter. It's been just over a year since the wedding. No letters. No voicemails. No surprise pop-ins at our doorstep. The silence is almost unsettling sometimes, like I'm waiting for another shoe to drop that I'm not even sure exists anymore. But mostly, it's peaceful. Lila and I settled into her home. We planted herbs in the backyard. Got a dog, a clumsy golden retriever named Benny who has absolutely no sense of personal space. We cook dinner together most nights, leave the dishes in the sink way too long, and laugh until we cry over the dumbest stuff, like how I once thought quinoa was a kind of fish. Life is messy and beautiful. Real. And for the first time in my adult life, I don't feel like I'm auditioning for my parents' approval. I'm not crafting my words to avoid triggering a lecture. I'm not rehearsing conversations in the mirror so I sound successful enough. I'm just living. On my own terms. People always talk about family like it's the sacred, untouchable thing. Like the people who raised you deserve eternal loyalty no matter what. But here's the thing no one tells you. Family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by presence. By effort. By love that shows up, especially when you're at your lowest. My parents didn't just disapprove of my choices. They erased me for them. They made my worth conditional on a dream that wasn't mine. And when I finally started to build something real, not impressive, not flashy, but real, they only showed up because they thought there was something in it for them. They didn't miss me. They missed the version of me they could brag about. Sometimes I still catch myself looking for them in crowds. It's like muscle memory, some broken piece of my brain still hoping they'll come back and get it right this time. But then I look at Lila, or Benny snoring on the couch, or our weird little chalkboard that says today's dinner, who knows LOL, and I remember this is what love feels like when it's not transactional. No tests. No ultimatums. No pretending. Just love.